Ryze, Taliyah.
Yes,
Nice. Roaming.
That's what I'm looking for G2, because Caps has transitioned his laning leads to his team. We saw it in the KC series. He played the Ryze and the Taliyah, as you highlighted, Vedi, and he used that pressure to make all his side lanes win. And I think that's the key player for G2 that isn't just about Caps. It's about how does Caps enable the rest of his team to play.
Okay, I'm going to say the forbidden words. 2019 G2. I'm not talking about how many they won, but when they were successful in those good old days, something that Caps loved to do was shadow his split-pushing side laners on things like the Ryze, the ability to find those ganks. It worked really well for them and has done throughout the course of G2's and Caps' career. We'll see. Well, guys, that's not a Ryze or a Taliyah. That's an Orianna first
But
here for G2.
Something that Dag has been avidly talking about a lot is it feels like that he is the best at the Orianna into Azir matches specifically. And of course, while Azir is banned, when we talk about Jojo versus Caps, I disagree with Jack in that I think that Jojo still had a fantastic laning phase pretty much for the entire split.
Sure.
And I think that there's, I mean, statistically, you're right. The Caps is the only player that is beating him. But when I watch Jojo and how he plays lane, his ability to find advantages has always impressed me. Now, I will admit, assuming that Galio is in the mid lane, I will say it will probably be somewhat challenging for him to build those same type of leads. And I think we can safely assume that Caps is going to be able to get an advantage in the early laning phase. But there's that buy that we were talking about. I think it's a really important pick away. And we saw KOI do this exact same thing against Na'Vi, where they took away Na'Vi's junglers, limited the pool as well. They ban away both the Mundo and the Poppy, and they're basically saying, hey, we know what you want to do, we're going to deny that option from you, and we're going to execute it better than you can.
We'll see where G2 decide to go with their next couple of picks. Like to see a jungler here to match up into that Vi. Labrov's Bard is going to be brought out for the third time here in LEC Versus, and alongside it, we'll have to wait and see. Labrov yet to lose this split on the Bard.
It's interesting to see the Bard priority rise. It makes a lot of sense into the Galio and Vi because you can just buy so much time for your carries with that Tempered Fate that Sonya's them up. But it's still quite strange to see it picked this early on. But I think the jungle pick would be what I was looking for next. And it's going to be the Zaahen for probably SkewMond, but it is a flex. Could go up in the top lane as well. And it makes a lot of sense because MKOI are... Yes. Because MKOI are building a full dive comp. So Zaahen shouldn't really have to worry about reach so much. You know that both Galio and Vi need to dive in. And that should really suit Zaahen's strengths quite a bit.
But the advantage of the flex pick is going to be nullified by the fact that G2 are on blue.
That is true.
It means that they won't be able to hide where this top laner is going. The support response from KOI as well with the Neeko, I think, makes a ton of sense. Not only does it further facilitate this full-on teamfight style of play, but also it's great into the Bard during the laning phase. Things like Corki can pair nicely alongside it. If you could also go for Kai'Sa, you can go Caitlyn. We know that Supa is very proficient on a wide array of champions so far this split. Caitlyn is the one that's immediately coming to my mind. We'll see what the bans end up being. As KOI look to ban away the Cassante, seems like that they are expecting the Zaahen in the jungle.
I think Kai'Sa would be the pick that I'm looking for Supa this game because you have such a telegraphed dive comp. So I would be surprised if G2 don't decide to ban it out. I like the Zaahen, even though it's potentially, I mean, it's not really having much flex value. Just because in a lot of the games that we've seen Zaahen, we've seen a Zaahen that was playing against a lot of range and couldn't really reach. But I think MKOI, they need to double down. You know, they can't try to transition now into some sort of range and try to kite the Zaahen out. They're gonna dive in, and that's when I think the champion should have a lot of value, and we'll see what SkewMond can do with it.
If you look for something like the Ezreal for Supa, gives you a little bit of poke, but also can get on towards that backline if your team is going in. The Kai'Sa already removed by G2 makes it tricky for you to have a full dive AD carry. Yunara and Varus banned away, no real surprises there. Two of the highest prio bot laners so far in LEC Versus.
S2's looking at a Sion right now, I feel.
Yeah, with the Gwen ban. I think for ADC here, I'm thinking Corki. Corki is the easiest. The thing is, you could go Ezreal, and it's not bad as well. I think Ezreal, Corki both make sense. The thing with Ezreal is a little bit less like DPS later on, and it's a little bit more unreliable, I'd say, while Corki feels like the more safe pickup. But
well, Supa loves the Ezreal as well. Like, he also does like Corki, but I think if you were to tell me
ADC
if he's
likes Corki, I'm gonna keep it real.
Right.
You know, like,
I vouch forward, I use the Gatling gun. Supa's had some great outplays on the Ezreal this split alone, and continues to show that it is one of his priority picks. He's played it twice in LEC Versus, did lose the first match on it, but across the entirety of his career, it is his most played. On the other side, Hans Summer hovering the Draven. Don't really expect to see that picked. Instead, the Sivir, again, something that does like it when enemies run into her, can use that spell shield to mitigate some of the damage, and then when you have a lot of people in melee, Ricochet is going to do a huge amount of work. Great call on the Sion, Vedius.
I think the spell shield does have a lot of value here into this KOI lineup. Of course, if you spell shield via... exactly. If you spell shield the Vi ulti, do you still get knocked up?
No.
Okay.
But
can
you can
smite.
smite on the way.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a bit of skill expression there. I mean, that's a nice Ambessa pickup to get that last pick here. Feels like G2 maybe should have tried to ban it out, as it really solidifies this engage comp from MKOI. But I like what G2 has here. They have a very clear... Both comps' identities are very clear. G2, they want to kite back, try to have a long fight where Sion can tank up, Sion can stack the passive, the Sivir can get the ricochets, while MKOI, they want to go fast. Find one target, immediately one-shot them, and end the fight as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's so much dive on the side of KOI, and for G2, my initial concern was actually Sivir, Zaahen, quite short range. And their engage isn't the easiest to pull off. You would sit there and think Sion, actually a pretty good engage tool, but he's not the most reliable. His engage is quite obvious. It's quite easy to play around. But KOI are kind of doing the hard work for G2 by wanting to dive, as you're highlighting. So the fact that they will look to close the gap themselves, ultimately I feel a lot of this game will revolve around Supa and his involvement. We saw how impactful he was on the Ezreal earlier this week. I mean, it was at the beginning of this week, I believe, when he played his first matchup.
Oh, beginning of last week.
Beginning of last week, yeah. And I mean, he had a fantastic performance on the Ezreal as well. So, yeah, I think interesting comps from both sides, both with a clear direction, and a nice, what's the word? Palate? No, taster. Entree to this.
A mood boost.
Yes, to this best of five.
Nice appetizer here.
That's the word.
We head into game number 1. And I want to pick up on what you said, Betty, because it's very interesting. The thing when you have these clear compositions on what they want to do, with G2 wanting to receive the engage and MKOI wants to engage, the only worry I have for G2 is you lose a lot of that agency. Since you can't really choose when the fights happen, it's always going to be kind of on MKOI. If they go too deep, that's when G2 get an advantage. But we've seen that MKOI are really good when they can be decisive, when they have all the tools. And I worry that G2 are kind of stuck playing this reactive playstyle this game and just waiting for MKOI to make all the plays happen.
Absolutely. Well, one of the big people that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on to make things happen is Elyoya. And, I mean, there's a lot of history now developing between Elyoya and Caps. When you think about them, like, they played against each other a lot. You can see that the all-time head-to-head game score very much favors Caps. The all-time head-to-head best-of-5 score, much closer than you might expect based on those results at the top at 8-5. And I wanted to put titles on this graphic specifically because when you look at the top 3 most decorated junglers, it's Yike, then it's Jankos, and then it's Elyoya, tied with Trick. The theme amongst all those junglers, G2, and then Trick also G2. Elyoya is the only player not on G2 to be contesting those titles and fighting at the top of the spot. Now, of course, Caps, we know he's the GOAT of EU. He's been racking up titles like nobody's business. But the reality is that Elyoya is the guy that when he came into the scene, he wanted to make his name on Mad. He did just that, and he's become a jungler that is fighting to earn that same sort of accolade and that same reputation that Caps has earned in EU as well.
For sure, and it feels like, while Caps has been always kind of the captain for G2 and kind of orchestrating a lot of the roster in some ways, Elyoya's done the same now for MKOI. He's the one who built this roster and made all of this happen, as now Myrwyn.
With the level advantage as well, going to be able to chase Broken Blade out, gets the grasp of the Undying proc. Wave coming in means Broken Blade can just stand a little bit further back, use that Doran shield for a bit of regeneration, but Myrwyn might be able to go in. A possible kill threat. Broken Blade's going to want to stand a step forward towards that cannon. Alvaro was caught with the Cosmic Binding. Spell shield out of Hans Summer. You can see the damage that comes out. Hans Summer's able to avoid those Mystic shots.
And Labrov, really good trades here. Misses that Q, but it doesn't really matter. The fact that they're able to get such a big HP lead here. And it's quite puzzling to me because we've seen this matchup now quite a few times. And I think Neeko should always be winning early levels because Bard is quite useless early game. He takes a few levels, you know.
It's true.
But every time we see it, it feels like Bard either goes equal or just wins.
I mean, the Bouncing Blades actually did so much work in that situation. The way that the wave was set up meant that I think Alvaro got hit by 2 or even 3 triggers of the Bouncing Blades as well to really contribute to that damage in the back and forth. So On top of that, yeah, I just want to talk about it because I remember someone explained to me many years ago Bard, and like, so if you think about Bard in lane, right? So his E is not a skill in lane. You've got Q, and then W, the heal is so pathetic that it really doesn't help much. Speaking of Elyoya, he set his sights on mid.
Jojo looking for the flash. Cap's going to flash away. Vault Breaker in from Elyoya into the taunt from Jojo. Will it be enough damage to spell Caps? Early it is. Alvaro flashing for it. 2 flashes and a heal burnt by MKOI, but they take down G2's main man.
Nice engage from KOI as they draw first blood. SkewMond has set his sights on the top side of the rift, looking to equal the score.
And we're going to get knocked up by that decimating smash. SkewMond now coming in, trying to proc that Darking Glaive on the minion. There's the knockup, dashes forward. Myrwyn does still have a flash of his own, trying to dash away with that passive. Broken Blade still on the chase, will get the slow. And with the Roar of the Slayer out and the decimating smack, the axe comes down and BB secures the kill.
It was fancy footwork from Myrwyn, but I thought he'd be willing to invest a flash when he bought that much time, but he decided against it. He knew that if he flashes, then SkewMond or Broken Blade would match. But some good early game plays here. As you see, Elyoya invests into mid lane, while SkewMond invests into top.
And I think it's really important in this Orianna Galio matchup that you do burn that flash early on the Orianna, because we know that Caps, when he's playing this Ori, the reason why he can be so aggressive on the champ is because of the amount of support he gets from his team. Look at the average stats that he's accruing on this champion. The amount of damage he's doing, his win rate, the gold difference. The reason this is all possible is because SkewMond and Labrov spend a lot of time enabling his aggression. Early vision, covering his lane, basically making sure that he's safe to do what he wants. This time, though, KOI attack him early. They go for a level 4 play. They try to get him before he even reaches that level 6 mark. And now that he's lost his flash, Jojo finds himself with a small gold lead in a matchup that should be much harder than this.
Yeah, now it's really important for G2 to try to have some vision around mid. You saw Caps, he put a pink ward for himself and a ward, because the worry is now when Elyoya hits level 6, no flash on Caps, Elyoya still has the flash, as Labrov might be in trouble.
Angelbob's out. Vault Breaker across from Elyoya will catch out Labrov. A magical journey, though, gets him to safety.
Ooh. That was a close one.
Outside of lane, the E is a spell.
Yes, it certainly is. Very well played there by Labrov to get away to safety, but honestly, even better play from KOI. Something that Finn was talking about on the desk was that he believed in this trio of Elyoya, Jojo, and Alvaro. When you're seeing it happen on the map, a successful gank onto Caps, and then pick onto Labrov, which, while it doesn't turn into a kill, puts pressure down and allows for Supa to get this push underneath the bot wave. KOI, I like what they're doing here in the early game.
Timing on SkewMond's back there, giving up this second spawn of the Scuttle Crab. Elyoya will be able to get that tick over to 6. Means that you're unlikely to fight around the Drake. When your jungler has a level disadvantage, you don't really want to try and go for this. The cease and desist will be too powerful for G2 to deal with, so it'll be first dragon of the game over to MKOI.
SkewMond knows it, so he wants to try to invade the top side here, but Jojo as well is covering for his jungler. Really nice macro play here by KOI. They just want to make sure that Elyoya can get this dragon while not losing any of his topside camps in return.
It's also a cover on the gank path for SkewMond. Towards that top try, could look to try and take out Myrwyn again. SkewMond, though, using that dreaded return to dash across the wall, will be able to get in and steal away this red while avoiding the damage on Labrov. Double penetrators, but still, the auto's coming out of Supa with that lethal tempo stacked up enough to take down the Bard.
And Supa just catches Labrov off guard. Really nicely played there with the aggression. And we're starting to see G2 some nerves, some crumbling.
Hansama tries to body block. Double heal comes through from Labrov, and it's still not enough. Beautiful play there from Supa to get another kill for KOI.
Yeah, lethal tempo doing a lot of extra work there for Supa in the trade. Myrwyn able to get the push in the top side here as well. Himself up a plate a little bit earlier on, and MKOI about 1,000 gold up 7 minutes into this game. Grub spawning in 30. Alvaro still only level 5, has only just ticked over to it, but Labrov is only level 4, so we're not going to see ultimates available for a Grubs fight.
Barmy Cinder early. It looks like Jojo is just going to invest in early tank rather than some of the AP that we've often seen from Galio's. Wants to make sure that he has that magic resistance available to mitigate as much damage that Caps is going to look to throw out.
KOI keeping the aggression up.
Looking for an invade of their own here.
Yeah, he's prowling around. Might look for Labrov.
SkewMond has been chunked out a little bit. Will heal up from the jungle camps. Gets his level 7. Neither of the bot lane is able to move easily, but Jojo's already moved from the mid lane and has that hero's entrance. SkewMond and Labrov need to be so careful because they do not have the backup. Hansama now moving from the bot lane, standing in that bush near the Krugs, but the wave is pushing into him, and this is going to be a 4v2 very quickly. G2 back away, the smite out from Elyoya will steal away the ret.
Elyoya plus Alvaro, man, they've committed to working together today. They are being as active on the map as possible. Early ganks, early objectives, early invades. Now it's Hansama isolated in the 1v2.
I love how slow KOI plays it there. They don't rush in, they wait for Jojo to move, and they make it look easy, because once you play it patient enough and you have that numbers advantage, there's no outplaying for G2. As now Broken Blade wants to try to protect the Scuttle Crab here, while also picking up a plant for himself. Try to make Elyoya's life a little bit harder, and he sets up the Crab. SkewMond.
Yeah, SkewMond just able to walk across and secure this one for himself. The grubs are up. The supports are down on the bottom side of the map though. Cosmic Binding short of clipping Supa there. He's had a really good early performance in this game as Myrwyn comes across to see what SkewMond's doing. Again, the hero's entrance means that Jojo can move quicker from the mid lane. Elyoya's on his way across.
The Capsule's hovering both here. SkewMond has to be careful. Jojo is here.
Caps clearing out the wave in mid, is going to start to move across. One grub secured for G2, but the next two will go over to MKOI to get the lion's share of the early neutrals in this game.
Bit of a weird play there by G2 since Caps was hovering bot side. I'm not sure why, because SkewMond started up the grubs with the top prio, so it looked like they would be able to get at least 2, maybe even 3. But then Jojo moves first, and we talked about it earlier, as oh, we might have a trade here involved.
Supa's very low on mana here. Labrov looking for the Cosmic Binding, finds it through the wall. The flash away from Alvaro will get him to safety, back up after that earlier play. So Supa being so low on mana makes it difficult for him to really trade back in effectively.
And finally, G2, they find something back in the bot side. It's not going to be a kill, but it's going to be 2 summoners burned. It's now Jojo. Yeah, he's going to be able to E out, and if we look at this mid lane matchup, we really wanted to see Orianna do more than this. The fact that Jojo is pretty much equal CS is a big, big win for MKOI, because in the first few levels, this matchup can be really tough for the Galio. You're playing a melee champion, you're getting poked in, but it's due to the fact that the rest of the MKOI members have played so well around mid lane, around shutting down Caps, that we're not seeing this lead that we're used to seeing from Caps Orianna.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, Broken Blade has been able to use his lead to, I would say, stymie the assault that has come through from Myrwyn. Early on in the laning phase, he was really bullying out the Sion. It can be difficult for the Sion to trade back, but now that he's got a lot more armor in his inventory, it is much harder for Myrwyn to really contest with the Eclipse. I imagine this matchup will shift a little bit more, but ultimately, both sides nearing the completion of that first item. You can see the Trinity Force done for SkewMond, along with the... and it looks like the Essence Reaper being built for Hansama. Trinity Force for Supa on its way as well. Eclipse done for Myrwyn. So a lot of these item completions coming through with Dragon now on the board once again.
Yeah, Hansama in a few waves, 4 waves time, will be able to get a little bit of the gold back against Supa because his cull is lower in terms of stacks, but Supa will then regain that when his cull does complete. MKOI starting up their second Drake, keeping this stacking on nice and early. Caps was back in base, didn't have the teleport. Comes back out with the Lost Chapter and the Fated Ashes, but not there in time. MKOI will take their second dragon, and it's an Ocean Soul for this game.
I mean, I know the gold lead isn't much, but really KOI is playing this other game spectacularly.
Yeah.
Like, the only mistake that KOI has made so far is the fact that Myrwyn died in top. And, like, he could have flashed, too. He could have traded flashes for flash. So, overall, like, KOI is... They really are getting the better of G2 in this early game. They're doing a spectacular job so far. 2 dragons to their name, Herald in 2.5 minutes. I expect them to look to try and contest that.
The thing is, G2 is just a little bit more disjointed. We see the tempo is slower than MKOI. MKOI are the ones always on first to the objective. And even when G2 are the ones starting the objective, then MKOI are the one that can always outmaneuver and outman them.
If you're G2, though, and you do lose Caps early on, is there a point there where you say, hey guys, it's fine. 2 items, we're really strong. We want them to attack into us anyway, assuming we can survive the initial burst and we're not too far behind to lose a member straight away. Is it okay if we just take our foot off the gas, let MKOI get the first couple of Drakes, let them play for this early game lead?
Ultimately, yes. I think that whenever I think of a Sivir, I always think of the 500 CS win condition, right? You will always have some degree of scaling on your side, especially when paired alongside an Orianna. The question around conceding is, at what point are you conceding too much?
100%
right?
agree.
Because it's this third dragon that is really important, and that's why, especially if you are leaning more towards a scaling comp, ideally you can sneak a dragon away. Maybe you can get the first one, or maybe even the second one, just so that you're not forced into that third dragon fight. But KOI, they get to say, well, next dragon, if you let us have it, we'll then be on soul point, and we all know what happens is, like, you can leverage Baron, side lanes, all sorts of things by just threatening taking the soul, let alone whether you take it or not.
I do think, though, with Hansama having the Essence River, it's a lot easier now for the Sivir to just match the wave clear of Ezreal, and then G2 can kind of leave Hansama on his lonesome. As you see, they're now able to more cover caps, which allows them to actually play as aggressive as he'd really want. They might even look to dive Myrwyn, but I don't think they'll have the time for it, as it's either Neeko or Elyoya covering. I think it's Elyoya because I saw him queued.
I think it's Elyoya as well. On the minimap, you can see Alvaro is working his way down towards that bottom side as well. But while all of this was happening on the bottom side, Alvaro went in and placed 4 wards towards where the Rift Herald is going to spawn in that blue side jungle for G2. We've got 40 seconds before the Rift Herald. This gives you good flank opportunities with Jojo, with that teleport. Myrwyn's teleport still not quite off cooldown, but almost there.
I love what you bring up there, Medic, because if you show the minimap once again, G2 had full control of both sides, but they don't have any of that sort of vision that MKOI was able to have. So it really goes to show that MKOI are the ones that are in control of the map. They're able to get deeper and better vision. And we'll see how it lines up for the Drake spawning in 2 minutes.
For the moment, Labrov's still covering Caps, making sure that he can get the push out here. Caps has finished the Blackfire Torch. Hansama and Supa have cashed in their culls. Still a 400 gold lead down towards that bottom side for MKOI. Leads in top and in mid for G2, but nothing too consequential across the board. MKOI really the major lead from these 2 extra Drakes. Caps chunked out, flashed away from Myrwyn, away from the shockwave. SkewMond was looking there as well. In the end, Myrwyn has to burn a summoner, and only expended is Caps' shockwave. Alvaro may be caught. Tangle Barb's coming out. SkewMond holding on. Hansama going in with the On the Hunt, and now Alvaro has to flash away as well. The chase, the pullback with the dreaded return, pulls them back into the Tempered Fate. Pop Blossom out of Alvaro, but he goes pop before it can connect. Rift Herald secured for MKOI while this was happening, but G2 have set up perfectly for that third Drake.
I mean, G2 forcing fight after fight. They initially tried to dive Myrwyn, they chased him through the river. Labrov should have his E to get away to safety, but while all this was happening, Elyoya was taking the Heralds. I mean, yes, it's true, KOI was a little bit scattered in the sense that they were trying to slow G2 down in their bot lane dive, and that did result in G2 getting a kill. But I think KOI should still feel much happier, because now, with the dragon spawning in 50 seconds, they can use the Herald to help them gain prio in mid, and even if they can't get the dragon, they can do a lot of damage to that mid tier 1.
It's all about that Drake. If that play had happened 1 minute later and it led to G2 just picking up the Drake for free, it would have been completely fine. But now they still have to fight. The one upside is that Alvaro did use the flash, and the Pop Blossom will be down for
I think it's back up.
seconds.
I think it's back up around the time the Drake does spawn. Myrwyn's flash as well has been burnt, so slightly harder for them to access the back line.
The only thing I'm noticing right now is that Jojo still hasn't completed his role quest. He actually moved out of mid lane quite early, and 16.5 minutes is very late to have your role quest not be completed. The Merc Treads upgrade is something that is extremely valuable for mid laners especially. But
there we are.
There we go.
Takes in at just as the Drake goes out. G2 using Broken Blade as that bouncer, not letting MKOI come in for the party at the Dragon Pit nightclub. Decimating smash out, there's the Rift Herald down as well. G2 back away with a magical journey. The dive into the backline via Myrwyn. Hero's entrance in as well, but the shockwave will bring Myrwyn back. Grim Deliverance goes in and they get the damage down. Jojo's going to be able to use the Rift Herald to get out. Did have to flash out to escape the play. One down for MKOI. The Drake, though, taken for them.
And MKOI, they get the prize. I love the turn from G2 onto the TP. But at the end of the day, if you lose the dragon, it doesn't matter. It's MKOI now on soul point, and they hold all the cards.
I thought to myself that the play was too deep, and then I see in game in the all chat, Myrwyn writes fan club at that ward. Fan club meeting at the ward. All right, well.
Jojo going forward here. Pop Blossom out from Alvaro. Doesn't connect onto SkewMond and Elyoya on the chase as well, but they can't collapse quickly enough. The Rift, though, did get the tower on the top side for MKOI. First turret of the game gives them an equal gold score. SkewMond here, cease and desist, Winds of War, can try and dash out. The Dread in return will get the pullback, but he doesn't get the passive in time. A taunt on the Rob will lock him up, but the magical journey through the jungle will get him to safety. Supa putting tons of damage down onto Hans Summer. The True Shot Barrage just goes wide.
I mean, I want to go back to that previous fight quickly, just because... Oh, Shockwave?
Elyoya should be okay here. No, does burn the flash.
Yeah, Caps, even though he was over the wall, another QW would have been enough to get that kill. So what we're seeing is G2 can definitely fight, especially when MKOI is coming into them. And the idea is, oh, collapse on the TP. If we shut him out of the fight, we'll have the numbers advantage, we can turn. But G2 did so much damage to that dragon. KOI basically just walked in and said, okay, I guess we'll take this, trade it for Myrwyn's life, and we'll be fine with that. I mean, Myrwyn still has a gold lead. He's still perfectly fine on the Ambessa. And now KOI are in a fantastic position. They're very close to second item completions across the board. They're at soul point, and they can use this soul to both threaten Baron, threaten side towers, basically do whatever they want.
Now G2 fighting from a losing position for a long time. Myrwyn still no flash, will dash out of the decimating smash. Caps is here, no shockwave for him. The tower low though, Broken Blade can tank it for a while. Public Execution doesn't hit onto Caps, he dodges it. BB with the soul furnished shield will not go for any more.
They don't have the damage. Myrwyn is able to escape, doesn't even have to burn the flash, only goes down to half. And that's the TP invested from Caps. It is going to be Broken Blade just basing, opening top here, so not too much minions lost. And Caps is able to pick up the bot tower, but it's not the pick that you really wanted to try to... Because you really want to get a gold lead at this point, to make sure that this fourth dragon fight is not a flip, it's not a 50-50. Because if all Elyoya needs is to get into the pit, and he has a chance of winning the game on his own.
I find it really fascinating that both of these teams have kept the goals practically even for the whole game.
Ready return's going to pull him back. The smite down there for the slow as well. Supa trying to trade in a hero's entrance, but Supa falls immediately to SkewMond, and now Hans Summer can begin to open up. Hans Summer with that essence reveal of Labrov coming in from the side as well. MKOI trying to bolster their defenses, but Supa's caught, and Jojo joins him in the grave.
And Nash is up. Supa's mistake might have cost MKOI the game here, as it's 3 versus 5. Elyoya is not even going to try to enter. Caps might be caught.
Caps does have the flash, he's insist there for the first follow-up. Shockwave for the knockback, flash away from the Pop Blossom. Caps has a blast cone to get to, knocked up, blasts away over to the Crab Camp. Elyoya can still look for the chase. The Baron still being done by G2 while this happens. Elyoya will get the kill with the denting blows, but in exchange, a Baron for G2.
Such a huge mistake by Supa, and the way in which he got caught out as well. I mean, in the river, isolated, I wasn't expecting SkewMond to all in, but he recognized his damage. He knew that he could take the 1v1. I mean, look back, like, I guess, like, what is the plan here from Supa? I mean, he's just face-checking a brush. There's no blue buff for him to Q and steal. He ease away. He does have the flash available. He holds onto it to the very last second, and it converts into 2 quick picks.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was thinking there. I think SkewMond, he really knew once he hit that, is it the W?
Dreaded
that pulls
return,
them in,
yeah.
That he could run down Supa and flash for that kill. Nicely played by him. And it is now the Nash for G2, but it's only on 4 members.
Yeah, I don't think that's the most consequential part of that last sequence.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Hans is now 1.3k gold ahead of Supa.
Yeah.
So the Baron, on top of the fact that he was able to farm a bunch in that very small window, I think he maybe even gotten a plate or 2 in mids. Like Infinity Edge done, the Essence Reaver, this Sivir, we talked about the late game threat of the champion. Well, he's already very close to that point.
That's true. And only gets harder and harder for MKOI as he's building towards that LDR. I mean, the one thing that G2 really want to do is try to break this mid tower, but they have to worry about the soul spawning in 10 seconds. They have control of it, but MKOI trying to face check here with the Neeko clones. It's going to be a fight for the Drake.
TP coming out from Broken Blade. Myrwyn can just stay in top for longer here. You can give up this Drake. It's what getting 3 of them allows you to do. MKOI unlikely to fight this. Just let Myrwyn have a bit of free time with that top lane tier 2. Get yourself a little bit more gold on that Ambessa.
And the added benefit is that you waste G2's Nash. That was like 2 waves where G2 couldn't really pressure on. So Myrwyn both gets some gold for himself, and you're not really going to see a whole lot of towers going for G2. I would love for G2 to be able to try to get this mid tower, try to group on it, but I'm not even sure if they have the time for it. as Hansama might be caught.
Uses the on the hunt, season desist coming out, the smite used as well, Temper Fate, Pop Blossom, Hansama's caught! And it's a party in the mid lane here for MKOI. Myrwyn does join the party, Jojo tanking the tower for a while, Labrov going in with a magical journey, SkewMond has that cultivation of war, has the revive from the passive, Myrwyn will fall first, a grim deliverance, SkewMond dives in, pulls back Elyoya with the dreaded return, and now MKOI trying to help out their jungler, the taunt might be enough, Elyoya flashes, but there's an unstoppable onslaught of G2 players, Broken Blade joins the fight, a magical journey in by Labrov as they look to chase down Supa, can't land the cosmic binding, SkewMond, a dreaded return across the wall here, might catch out the Ezreal.
Supa's playing with fire.
He really is.
Oh, SkewMond does so much damage in these extended fights, and we're seeing the power of the G2 comp on full display, despite Hansama dying.
Elyoya.
Whoa, how's Elyoya?
I think he's just executing.
Yeah, he's executing.
Will Broken Blade flash?
No,
he will not. He could have flashed Q'd, you know?
That's a pure solo queue play. Flash queuing there, man.
Hey, why not?
Wow.
Baus would do it.
So,
Yes.
I mean, what a series of events. KOI, they committed to the Hans fan club meeting in mid lane, right?
Yep.
Like, all 5 members diving this tower. They did the tech that you guys were talking about in draft, where they used the smite to make sure they connected. The bot ultimate doesn't quite keep them alive, and the combo comes through. Great, but now the re-engage from G2. The rest of the members start to collapse on mid. They turn their attention onto Myrwyn. The magical journey helping them keep within range of him. A nice binding connects from Labrov. SkewMond, the healing that he gets. Watch, he uses the clone from Neeko to heal 250 HP, and then he continues on in the extended fight. The rest of KOI splits apart, and while they do get that initial pick in the extended exchange, it's G2 that walk away the victors.
You have to remember, when that Zaahen has the passive stacked up, you are getting bonus attack damage for each of the stacks, and it then doubles the bonus when you're fully stacked. You get a huge amount of extra AD, up to 71% at level 18. And that Sundered Sky proc doing a lot of work for them overall. G2 now with a 3,000 gold lead, Jack.
And we saw the AD in that fight. Like, even though Hansama was dead, it didn't feel like they were missing any damage. So that's another threat that MKOI need to worry about. It's not just Hansama, it's Caps, Hansama, and SkewMond that they all really need to have their eye on.
The scary thing for KOI is that they just full committed to a dive. They killed the enemy AD carry, but the fight really didn't feel very quite.
To be fair, they were under the tower.
No, I mean, I understand that. But you have to recognize that the game, up until this point, felt like it was KOI. They were doing absolutely everything right. And then that one mistake from Supa, the entire momentum shifts. Of course, picking up a Baron will do that to you. But you can see how, at this level, a single mistake can be absolutely punishing. And G2 have swung this into a 3k gold lead. Now, that doesn't feel monstrous, but you have to look at where that gold's sitting. Hansama has now finished his 3rd item. SkewMond quickly working towards his 3rd as well.
First time he's ever brought out the Zaahen in his pro career. Obviously, he hasn't been out that long, so it doesn't have a huge amount of time to have played it, but does hark back to the good old days of SkewMond in solo queue. With Viego, I believe, used to be his real power pick, alongside the Nunu, of course.
It's one of those things where on a champion like this, it can be difficult to get, I would say, kill participation. He's 100%. He's been involved in absolutely every single kill that G2 has been able to find. And I mean, you've been seeing the damage that he's been doing in these fights. We have this high expectation for damage, but then we're going to look at the post-game damage results, and he's going to be one of the bottom ones.
Never have
exactly.
I mean, Hansama, I mean, especially Supa this game. He's going to be queuing Sion so much that it's going to be looking ludicrous.
Supa also gone for the Endless Hunger here on the Ezreal, something we are seeing more of for that extra ability haste. Yes. We got red rings of death on either side of the rift.
All right, well, Dragon now spawning in 35 seconds. Both teams will be eyeing that objective up. But with the Baron available, this is the thing that we talked about. KOI can always threaten the cross map. So G2 have to be cautious in their approach. They want to still get some vision around this area. They'll drop the control ward. KOI recognize that the jungler's top side, so they're going to use this to move into the bot side and now start to threaten the soul themselves.
Mira trying to sneak behind here, will be spotted out by control ward. The True Shot Barrage clips onto SkewMond and onto Hansama. Good damage from Supa on Labrov there. TP coming in as Jojo joins the fray. And this bottom side, Elyoya snuck in, Labrov there, face checking, Broken Blade still on the front line, onslaught, unstoppable, onto Alvaro, forces him down to half HP, Elyoya chased out by Labrov. The electrocute proccing, not doing too much on that Bard. G2 have used Broken Blade's ultimate just to try and wrest control away from MKOI. The Drake is up. MKOI still looking for the soul.
Supa's poke is going to be the most important part. Right now it's all into broken blades.
Super slowed. Alvaro, 3-man pop blocks from Hero's entrance here for the follow-up with the cease and desist, but the tempered fate is going to buy so much time here for G2. Can they get out? No, MKOI take 2. SkewMond will get one in response to 4v3 in the favor of MKOI as SkewMond has that passive build up, dives in, takes Elyoya. SkewMond's coming back to life. A cultivation of war in the river for SkewMond, dashes away. The magical journey will get broken blades to safety. Labrov does not have that same luxury. The dreaded return brings Supa back. SkewMond goes in, gets another. Not quite enough healing. BB trying to trade onto Jojo. Will get him. Myrwyn escapes a 5 for 4 in favor of MKOI.
SkewMond, the hero of G2. He does so much damage on the Zaahen.
Myrwyn might have enough time.
Oh, is he gonna get it?
I mean, I think he has the
Caps has
damage.
TP.
Caps does have the TP. This is not the slowest dragon. I mean, it's even slower
pretty
moving
slow.
down. The TP. Caps, 2 seconds, 1 second. There it is.
Straight in. Myrwyn.
Alvaro's
Backs
back on
away.
the map. When are the junglers? 1 second on Elyoya. He's going to start making his way towards the objective as well. Caps, 1 versus 2 right now. The Sivir back on the map as well. We're going for round 2, boys.
Labrov has ult now. Tempered Fate available if he wants to just slow Myrwyn on this Drake. Elyoya is going to blast cone forward. Caps there as well. Alvaro looking for the flank position. Pop Blossom almost off cooldown. Elyoya goes in. Tempered Fate onto him and onto Caps. Alvaro tries to get in with the Pop Blossom, but he doesn't find anyone. Elyoya stunned up. Myrwyn in the pit. Elyoya there as well. Goes in with the cease and desist. The public execution there for the follow-up. On top of it, Myrwyn and Elyoya are dead. G2 will claim the Drake alongside it. You have to think they're second Baron of this game.
Unbelievable that this was the outcome. KOI was able to win the fight with a single member left standing. They decided to try and finish the dragon off, and it ended up being their undoing. We have to go back to the start of this fight.
We're going back all the way. Alvaro starts it up with the 3-man ultimate. It's chained by the Galio ult, but the Bard ult buys so much time, and it's just a mess. SkewMond flashes in and is able to finish up a kill, but Supa kites it out, and then SkewMond has to play it slow here. He gets Elyoya, he gets the revive, and he's healing so much in these fights. He's doing so much damage, and Labrov puts the tunnel down before he dies, which allows SkewMond and Broken Blade to get onto Supa and take him down with the Triumph healing, and then they will take Jojo as well. The thing is, KOI had the advantage here. It was SkewMond that died last.
My goodness. Okay, but I mean, like, so some major things happened there. First of all, KOI, they had a beautiful start to that fight. The wombo combo onto the 2 key carries was beautiful to see, but then SkewMond single-handedly keeping G2 in the fight, making the fight a 5 for 4, and then KOI making the decision to stay on the dragon. Like, oh my goodness, how back and forth. And now it's G2 with the Baron. They denied the soul again.
Yeah, I mean, KOI, they have to be kicking themselves after that, because SkewMond died so late in the fight that he would take so long to get to the Drake, so they could have played it slow.
Absolutely.
But they ended up rushing it, and it might have cost them the game. As G2 now, they're playing 2 lanes here on the Nash. They already got the bot tower, but they're looking for Inips.
Still 4 waves on this Nash push. Double cannons down towards the bottom side. Triple cannons in mid. Shepherded in by Broken Blade. He's the minion herder here. Jojo's going to try and answer it, but not too much damage on that Galio to do so. The Baron buff, the Winds of War will take away, but even with a full one, doesn't take out the cannons. G2 advance through bot. They'll take the bot inhib. MKOI trying to defend mid right now as Myrwyn pushes in the top lane himself. We'll get an inhibitor tower for MKOI as recompense for G2's plate. The inhibitor unlikely to fall because Caps has backed away, but Elyoya looking for the play. SkewMond waiting, saying, okay, come and fight me if you so dare. 2-level advantage for the G2 jungler.
Wonder if G2 was a bit scared of some sort of base race there, because they ended up not taking the mid tower. It was only 200, 300 HP, so I thought they'd play for both the mid inhib and the bot inhib, but it's still going to be an inhibitor for them. They're able to defend their top side, and now they can look to siege for this top tier 2 slowly.
GA now finished for SkewMond. If you thought he was hard to kill before, I mean, he's going to be slightly harder to kill now. I wonder what procs first. Is it this passive or the GA? I would assume the passive.
I think it's the passive, obviously if it's fully stacked, and then the GA afterwards. Navoy Flicker Blades completed for Hans Summer. Supa has got himself a Cyrilda's Grudge, so 4 items apiece on our AD carries. a large gold lead for Hans Summer, just sitting on that vampiric scepter for now.
There's no anti-heal though for MKOI, and there's so much healing on SkewMond, and now Vamp Scepter on Hansama as well.
Yeah, just that single Oblivion Orb for Alvaro.
Oh, you're right, there
the
is
Pop Blossom does connect, but still, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot.
Not a lot at all. And Alvaro has had that one really good Pop Blossom, has had a couple of howlers, hasn't been able to get onto the backline as
an eye on him
effectively as
here.
he'd like. Elyoya going in with the Cease and Desist. There's Pop Blossom. Alvaro finds the 3-man stun. Caps goes golden. Broken Blade trying to dive onto the backline as well. Public execution coming out, but Caps is able to use Lasagna's to avoid it. Jojo on the backline. Hans Summer had so much time to open up. Jojo falls. MKOI, they shot their shots, but they were firing blanks. G2 continue to collapse. There's the passive. The cultivation of war out of SkewMond, but G2 with 5 can just neglect Supa and Alvaro, can leave them in their fountains. They don't want to, they'll chase them out. The Nexus towers fall as G2 take game 1 of this best of 5.
And G2, they weathered the storm, they kited them back, they played it slow, they showed how you play into this full engage comp, and they showed